and we listen. When you guys ask, we listen. Today's conversation is really in honor of National Parent Leadership Month. Organizations, family support organizations all across the country are celebrating the parent leaders that help make their organizations great. And Be Strong Families is no different. We have the best parent leader team from across the country. And we would not be where we are today without all their valuable insight and input and contributions that they make. These people are my heart. So I'm going to keep going because I'll get emotional talking about them. Today, these are the ways that we engage in during our webinars. Okay. When you're ready to speak, please raise your hand. Usually that's what we say. We ask you to unmute yourself. Well, we are because we're going to do a Q&A later. Okay, I remember. And then when you put comments in the chat box, remember to make sure it's going to everyone. Otherwise, it'll just come to us, the host and the panelists. And then be patient with us. We think this is a really hot topic, so there'll probably be a lot of conversation later on. We're going to try to provide space for that. Okay, and feel free to go off in the chat. Next slide, Lori. Thank you. So our agreements. Now, you guys know we at Be Strong Families we're strong about providing a safe space, a space where people can be brave sharing. So we're going to ask you when you share, speak from your own experience using I statements, follow the golden rule. This is like our part of our cafe agreements, and this wraps up everything with a bow, like not giving advice and not judging people, that kind of stuff. Okay, and then full presence. We know that you're joining us on lunch. Of course, eat. But don't check your emails and play words with friends, Candy Crush, all that stuff. You're going to miss something really good. So stay in it with us, okay? And then if you need a minute, take a minute. And then come back when you're ready to be back in the conversation. Now, do me a favor. If you agree to these agreements to keeping the space safe, I need you right now to type in the chat, I agree. Hurry, quick like a rabbit. Otherwise, we're gonna run out of time. Yes, I see them coming. I love it. I love it. That's right. Keep them coming. Okay, it looks like we have enough people to move forward. So, Lori, today, guys, I get the pleasure of presenting and having this wonderful conversation with these wonderful people. Today, we are talking about parent leadership, the promise versus the practice. We know that sometimes there's a gap between what parent leadership what we want it to look like and what it really looks like. So today is going to be the deep dive on this topic. And with me, well, okay, I'm Sarita Sashington. I'm the Director of Engagement and Strategic Relationships here at Be Strong Families. And with me is Amani Rodriguez, Jesse J. Smith, and Pam Herron. And I'll let them each take a moment and introduce themselves. Amani?
Okay, good morning and good afternoon. My name is Amani Rodriguez. I am a training and technical assistance consultant with Be Strong Families. I'm also a member of the National Parent Cafe Leadership Team. I've been around since 2021, and I'm also in South Carolina. So it's good to see South Carolina people here and North Carolina as well. And I'm a mom of 3 and a grandma to 1. So that's the most important part of
it. Amani. Jesse?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, hi. Yes, I am Jesse Smith, and I live in El Paso, Texas. Nice and warm. I'm loving it. We're in the 80s today, probably. So I apologize for where you are, but I'm enjoying it, right? So I'm also a member of the National Parent Cafe Leadership Team. Been with Be Strong Family now for about 3 years, I believe, close to it, almost 3 years. I am a grandfather of 5, a father of 3. I'm sorry, of 3. So I love being a parent, a grandparent. It just makes it all that makes better. Love life. Thank you.
Jesse and Pam.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming from the best city in the world, which is Chicago. I've been with Be Strong doing cafes for almost 15 years now. I am a mother of one and soon to be a grandmother of one this year. So looking forward to that and thank you all for joining.
Say, Pam said that and immediately made me feel so old. Whoa, child, you made me catch my breath. All right. So let's get into it. We have a lot of questions and a little bit of time. So we want to start off with grounding the conversation. As I mentioned before, we have an idea of what we love parent leadership to look like, or parent leadership to look like in the organizations. Parents have an idea of what parent leadership should look like. And then somewhere in the middle, those two visions don't always connect. So let's talk about what that looks like in the space of parent leadership, the promise versus the practice. Our first question is, when you hear the phrase parent leadership, what does it mean to you personally, not professionally? No, Lori, go back to just take the slide down. Yep. And now you can stop sharing. When you hear the phrase parent leadership, what does it mean to you personally? What does it mean to you personally, not professionally? Would like to share.
Well, I go first if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I will tell you that for me, I thought about this question, because I'm raised, I consider myself raised old school from my grandparents. I was raised with grandparents. So for me to do things and want to go rush so my kids didn't have to. One of the old sayings I used to always say was, I like stepping into potholes and filling them in before my kids don't have to walk in the same streets, right? So that's kind of what it, in the real quickly, summation, that's what it kind of means to me.
For
Thanks,
me, it
Jesse.
means that my voice is heard in the room and that my experience is valued. It also means that I'm setting an example for not only my children, but for my children's friends as well, and possibly for other parents. So, if there's a parent that may feel like there is a space they're not exactly comfortable in, or they have from putting, that if I'm modeling something or if I'm doing something and they're observing, then that helps to build their confidence in their parenting.
I would say for me, initially as being a new mom, I didn't know anything about parent leadership. I thought me being a parent and a mom was just within my home and my child. As my child got older and being exposed to different events and things and around him sports, that's when I, you know, realized that it was bigger than just my immediate home and my child. It was community wise. So with doing cafes and stuff like that, that brought the idea because I didn't know anything about parent so-called leadership. I just thought I was a parent and leading my household and my child, and that was enough. But yeah, it came later on with the exposure of knowing things with my child as he got older.
Yeah, let me ask you guys, how has that view of parent leadership changed since joining the NPCLT? And I'm sorry, let me just for clarity, the NPCLT is our National Parent Cafe Leadership Team. It's a group of parents from across the country, and they help to host cafes. They act as ambassadors for us. They sit on the board. They develop curriculum. Um, they do a lot. They sit on organizations. They sit and represent Be Strong families and organizations that do not have parent representation. So I'm sorry. So again, how has your viewpoint changed since joining the NPCLT, if at all?
I would say for me, my kids did not benefit from it, but my grandkids are, because the biggest thing for me was actually having open communication with my grandkids, or even with my kids now as adults though. But being part of Be Strong Family or the National Parent, team has taught me to really listen to what they're saying, to to make sure they understood that I care about their feelings now. I mean, before, again, it's not that I didn't care about their feelings. It's just that I wanted to tell them what they're supposed to be feeling, you know. Back growing up, you know, old school. That's just old school, right? So, being a part of Big Strong Families taught me to really listen to my kids and my grandkids now at this point, and to really respect their feelings.
Thank you.
My view has pretty much stayed the same, and more things have been added to it. So being a part of MPCLT, I've gained value in empowering parents and then even empowering myself. I've learned that parenting is messy, and being in these spaces that we're not looking for perfection when it comes to parenting, we're just really looking for a strong presence. So just showing up um, as my most authentic self in my parenting role is leadership in itself, right? Because it's setting a standard for someone else, or even resetting a standard for myself, because it gives me a chance to reevaluate, this is what I've done. Do I need to pivot and change and do something else? And then being surrounded by other parents, it has just been something that's been really a breath of fresh air.
Yes, I can agree with that as well. Um, Joining Be Strong Families and NPCLT really gave me a view of the protective factors. I didn't know what resilience was and all that came with that, but actually attending my first cafe, that was like eye-opening. Being in that space, sharing, knowing that other people were going through what I was going through, and it was just breathtaking because I was not alone. Having a son at that time, being able to relate to others that were in the same fight as I was trying. It was one of my present and listen taught me a lot of stuff that was not taught growing up because I came from a big family. I was the youngest, so it was like I had to fight for that position to do what I needed to do. But given that space and time in the cafe helped me to be productive in ways to help my child grow in society.
Thanks all.
Now he's a grown man now, so I'm done.
And give you a grandbaby. So let's talk a little bit about the promise. What parent leadership is supposed to be. In your experience, what is the promise of parent leadership? And what should it look like when it's working well?
I'll start this one. So for me, the promise of parent leadership looks like equity in spaces, right? So when we have, or when in the past I was in spaces and attending workshops and attending conferences in a parenting role, my voice was heard at the table and it was right. So before I finished school, and sitting at the table with other professionals, it became a lot of, this is what the book says to do, but I'm bringing to you as a parent, this is the reality. So respecting the reality of parenting and weaving in some of what the book says to do, it takes both sides, right? For it to work for just a little bit, because again, it's not perfect, things change, but just really valuing the parent's voice, respecting the experience, and making sure it's equitable across the board.
Jesse or Pam, do you want to weigh in on this or?
Yes, I say for the promise is just having the opportunity to share, being valued in conversations and spaces as a parent, and building that relationship with networks and professionals and other parents, and having and building each other's confidence, because when you can remove that barrier of, oh, this title or this particular credential, and be in a space as your authentic self, that makes things a little bit more at ease amongst. I know for myself, as as being a parent instead of professional, because it's more casual, it's more relatable. So just being in a space and being able to relate with others and share without a judgmental lens, or and just being that listening ear. People need that, and I am the one that understand that, and I prone to always provide that for others.
Thank you, Pam. So we heard a little bit about what parent leadership supposed to look like. It was supposed to be, having organizations having a listening ear, or parents' voice being valued and heard, parents feeling seen. Those are things that happens when it's working well. So let's talk a little bit about what often happens instead. Um, and I would even offer that shared power is something that should supposed to be in the parent leadership too. Because if you have my child in your organization and you're making decisions about my child and not including me, or making decisions about me, and I don't have a space at the table, there's no way for me to be represented or my voice to be heard, then that's when it isn't working well, right? It should be working well when those things are in place. So what happens, the practice is what often happens instead. So where have you seen the gap between the promise and the practice of parent leadership in your own experiences?
All right, I'll start this one again. So for me, I've seen it where, as a coach, I'm just using from that perspective. From as a
Mhm.
coach, we have, like you said, the shared power or the space is there. Sometimes as a coach, you have to make sure that you are not, um, because a coach really affects the kid a lot. Kid, once they start trusting a coach, especially, they really rely or listen to what a coach has to say. So if a coach has to make sure that he's not saying things that change the way the kid looks at the parent, right? And I put it that way. So, if I'm telling a kid that, you have to make sure they are cleaning your room, doing the right things at home so that your parents might be appreciate that. But sometimes you'll find that not all coaches are ethical, right? So you'll find some coaches telling the kids, "Hey, you need to, you can still come to practice even if your parents say you can't, or you can still do this and this and that." That's not that goes against everything, right? So when that happens, that's that promise being not kept, right? That's the part that some parents don't hear sometimes. So that's a kind of an example of when it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So you have to, and that can go from even from the school system, teachers, the same, all that still applies. Sometimes it's not there, and that parent is not in that same conversation when you're having that conversation with their child, so they're not in that space. And so that they wouldn't have an opportunity to, speak up against it or say, no, that's not happening. 'Cause I've seen it where that happened with a coach and a parent. When the parent found out about it, of course, there was some negative response.
Yeah. Anyone else want to weigh in on this question?
For me, programs showing up that don't directly benefit parents, right? So if you are a parent and you're or seeking resources, or you're seeking to maybe help build your work skills, or help with whatever parenting issues that you have, agency may be not listening to, this is what I want to see coming in. Like if I let's just say I have a problem child and I need to learn ways to work with my problem child, but you're sending me to budgeting workshops. That's not what I need, right?
Mhm.
I need something to help work with this issue over here, because my budgeting is not the issue. That's not the problem. The problem is I need to learn how to, wrangle in a child that may be a little bit feral, or how do I help my child, process their feelings, or where do I go to get mental health services that are beneficial to, what I need, right?
Yeah,
Culturally, or,
yeah,
what does that look like? So really listening to the parents and really filling in the needs of the parents, and not so much of what the program thinks that they need.
yeah. That resonates with me. It makes me think of all the years my kids were in school, and I kept thinking about, wanting or not thinking about. They would have meetings that I couldn't attend because of work or school, and they were not willing to change those meetings so that parents could attend those meetings. Instead, I would hear parents don't care about these kids. We had these meetings, da 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 da. And I'm like, but you're having a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning for times that benefits the staff, but not the parents. So thank you. What are some common ways organizations unintentionally limit parent leadership?
Well, I think you just said it, like having the meetings or doing things behind the, behind the doors, and not involving or getting the parental voice in the room or at the table, involving them. Giving them that space to say, to make decisions about what's going on with their child or what's going on anywhere. Just it's not involving them and doing things that, um, yeah, to me, it's just not involving or considering them as an effective voice to make a decision of what needs to be done or has to have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I add to that
discounting their
too. I'm
oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Amani.
I was gonna say discounting their voice based on education level or lack thereof, or even socioeconomic status. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That really does not determine how effective you are as a parent, or how valuable your experience is as a parent. So just
Mhm.
honoring everybody's voice in the room.
Yeah, and I also
Yeah.
add to real quick to this that I think sometimes we don't provide information, or an organization unintentionally, right? So they might provide information, but it might be late, or the response time that the parents have to respond to it might already be deadline is like a couple of days later or earlier. So sometimes, unintentionally, I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but that timing is also is important, I think. To
Yeah.
add to
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. You guys, like you struck my heart chord, because I remember when you said that. I think something else that unintentionally limits parent leadership is not having a designated parent coordinator or
that. Mhm.
someone whose job it is to engage parents. Because if you give me something, if I have a laundry list of things to do and responsibilities, and then you throw parent engagement at me and say, hey, put this on your list, and it's all the way at the bottom, it's not a priority, then I'm less likely to give it 100%. And then when I remember, oh no, I was supposed to have a meeting, then I'm sending a flyer 2 days before and then upset that parents can't come. And I also think there's a place for tokenizing in organizations, or because I know I've watched it when a parent is uh, at the school all the time or at the organization time, they're volunteering all the time, then that's the parent they choose for everything, and not opening it up for other, like, oh, this parent is da da da, or this parent is, so we're just going to use this parent. And there's other parents who might have other, have voices and just in a um, different viewpoint, different experience they bring to the table. And so I think tokenizing is also like a way that limits parent leadership. So when we're talking about this conversation, let's talk about a little bit about power and partnerships. For professionals listening today, what does it take to build trust with parent leaders? And I'll give you guys just a minute to put some stuff in the chat, bring you into the conversation a little bit. What does it take to build trust with parent leaders? And then while they're doing that, oh, let's see. Okay, Jennifer said, okay, we said a lot of schools have PTOs, PTAs, being real and honest, invite all parents, schedules not changing availability. Thinking that professionals have more experience or thinking parents are unqualified or capable. Come on now, preach. Preach. I'm about to send you a offering plate for that one. Not a public transit route. Like, that's real. And I remember being in a space where the parents who had degrees were thought to have more to offer than the parents who did not have degrees. Now, Monty spoke a little bit to this earlier. I was thinking, like, what? My stuff is just as valuable as theirs. They have a book knowledge. I'm in these streets. I'm with these kids duking it out. These people are like, 20. They just got out of school with no parents. They got one kid, one toddler. And because they have a degree, then my stuff, that my years of lived experience is not valuable, is not valued. I think not, sir. Ma'am. Uh, thank you guys. I see transparency and open communication, being real and honest. Administrators don't want to hear what needs to be said. Facts, that's true sometimes. Transparency, honesty, open door. Transparency and authenticity. Listening, asking questions actively. Oh, hey, Gracie. Asking questions actively, not making assumptions. Reliability and transparency. Real. All very real things. Open communication and being culturally sensitive. Yes. Yes. And I just want to say this too. I think there's a place for not just hearing what they said, but then acting on what they said. Because I can't tell you how many times I was a like a figurehead until I stopped being one. Like, you want me to sign what? You want me to say what? And or I'm putting stuff out and then like, nope, that's not important. Our stuff is more important because we're the teachers, we're the admin, we're the staff. So let me ask you this, and this is a question for the panel, and feel free to chime in, all of you guys in the chat. What makes you feel respected and valued in leadership spaces?
Respect, consistency, and communication. Those terms right there from all
What does
angles.
what does respect and value look like, though,
Um,
for you?
Making sure I'm involved, contacting me, making sure that I'm present in the conversations, asking my input. If I'm not able to meet, at a certain time, reach out to me, especially if you have my contact information. I may not be able to meet, come to that meeting for a reason, but don't discount me because of me missing that one meeting. But please, reach out to me, get my feedback, consider my voice because I have input, especially when it's involving my child. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
Interesting is, I mean, Pam said pretty much the way it is about, especially the respect part, right? Or knowing that your voice is being heard and that they're actually listening to what you're saying, or taking into account for your feelings or your time is
Mhm.
valued, making you feel like that's important. You can have a conversation with someone and you can tell if they are we call active listening, right? When we talk about active
Mhm.
listening to you, you can tell the difference between a person that's active listening to you or not, or they trying
Yeah.
to overtalk you, or dismissing your ideas or your value. I think that's important. So yeah, that's what it looks like to me when I you can feel it. You can feel it in the room in the conversation.
Yeah. Facts. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So I
Respect
think
for
we're gonna.
me would
Oh,
be,
go
oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was
No,
gonna say
no, go ahead.
respect for me would be involving me in the conversation from day one, right? Don't wait until the last minute. An example that I would like to use, because I do still have one left in school, and I remember when my two oldest ones were in school. Don't wait until the last minute to say this is what your child is doing, and don't just contact me when they're doing something wrong. you
Mhm.
know, start with the good. I just want to tell you, I know we don't always have good days with XYZ. Today was a great day. Whatever happened, whatever you did this morning, keep doing it, mom. Keep doing it, dad. Because as a parent, that lets me know that you respect the effort that I put in. Don't think that because my child is acting up or that my child's grades are not good, that I'm not at home trying to help support what you're doing at school.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about this is a hot topic in some parent engagement spaces, some parent leadership spaces. It's compensation and value because Be Strong Families has always practiced equity in this space of compensation because our whole model, the parent cafe model, was based on parents being a part of the conversation, them helping to shape that model. And then once they created like the common everyday language or the protective factors and helped to create the model, then they host the conversations. We paid them for their time. Today, early in Be Strong Families, when we didn't even have a budget for parent engagement, we still managed to, by faith, compensate the parenting because we valued the work and what they were bringing, the contributions they were bringing to Be Strong Families. And today we continue in that. Uh, so I would ask, what is the healthy balance between compensation and volunteering? Because sometimes when organizations will feel like, oh, it's a you should be volunteer, you should be happy that we got your kids. Duh, 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 duh. Or yeah, let's compensate. And then sometimes parents lose the volunteer spirit they had because it has become all about compensation. So I would ask you all, what is a healthy balance between compensation and volunteering?
Well, Sarita, I'm big on volunteering though. I do a lot of community work, a lot of community service. I just think that's part of the reason I'm on this earth to do those things. For me, it's always been understanding from the beginning what type of organization that I'm going to be a part of, bringing that to that organization, knowing from the beginning that I'm here to volunteer and not be compensated. Or if I'm going to an organization where I am being compensated, then that's why I'm there. So for me personally, even when since I have a youth group I work with, right? And so with our youth group, the parents are expected but not required to do some volunteer work, and that
Mm-hmm.
is because there are children in the organization. Now, there are some parents, people that don't have kids in there that do volunteer work, but they're not looking to be compensated for anything other than, thank you. Or we give them certificate appreciation even when they volunteer, even though they're not expecting anything. We might have a volunteer dinner or luncheon for them, for those, just to show them appreciation. Now, to me, I think that's the healthy balance is just
Mm-hmm.
that knowing what you're going into, which organization and why you're
Mm-hmm.
there.
Thank you, Jesse. Anyone else want to
I
weigh in?
Yeah, I agree with Jesse. Just having that conversation to set the tone for everything, and what are the expectations? What are you bringing to the table? What we bringing to the table, and having that conversation. But also looking at if what you're doing, because I'm like Jesse, I volunteer all the time. My heart and purpose is to give back. So if it's not conflicting with your well-being, stressing you out, or financial wise, if you are able to do it, you have to have that balance to see, okay, if there's a strain on my finances or anything in within your, what you're doing. So yeah, just taking account of what you're doing and seeing how it affects you will, give you a better outlook on what you're doing, if it should be volunteer or compensation. And if it does need compensation, then yeah, just a closed mouth don't get fed. You got to talk and say something.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Thank
also
you.
look at short term versus long term. If it is one event, a couple of hours, and communicating up front, this is on a voluntary basis, that's no problem. But if it's a project that I'm working on for a length of time, I
Mm-hmm.
would like for you to have something written in, for some type of compensation. We may not be able to pay you by hour or something like that, but maybe we could do a gift card or a basket or an appreciation lunch or dinner. We'll have some coffee. I like my Starbucks. I don't drink the coffee from Starbucks. I like the tea. Just something to let me know that my time has been valued. Even if I'm volunteering, the time for the event, have something there, some snacks or something like that even though I'm volunteering my time, something to show, we appreciate you being here. We're not taking you for granted.
Thank
Sharita,
you.
just one more quick example. I'm sorry,
Go
if you don't
ahead.
mind. So I volunteer at the middle school that's closest to my home here. Two of my friends, we do that every morning for the last 3 years at the drop-off point for the kids to walk across a road cover of 2 lanes. So three of my friends have been doing this for the last 3 years, right? It's voluntarily. But a lot of times, some parents during the holidays, they'll come through and give us stuff. They'll give us stuff, even though we are just volunteer, we didn't ask for any compensation, but they show that appreciation just by bringing us. It can be raining, we out there. If it's snowing, cold, it doesn't matter. We out there. So they'll bring us coffee or they'll bring us tea. They'll bring us different things. Didn't look for it, didn't ask for it, but it did show appreciation. So I can understand how a parent would feel, even though it is not they volunteering and not no compensation is promised, but still showing some makes a little difference, makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. Amani said snack and almost gave me a heart attack. Uh, Not because snacks are bad. However, I always felt some kind of way as a parent when I got all this when I was volunteering in my children's school and we have parent meetings and then they say, "Oh no, we don't have money for the parent stuff, the parent workshops. We don't have money for that. Let's just get some little Debbie's." But then when you go to the staff room, every event is laid out like you got money for staff stuff for them to have catered food and Panera bread and da da da. But I'm getting like 5 chicken wings for $1 from your local, food truck. I don't know. So I would like for parents to be treated, I want to be treated the same way. If you value staff enough to feed them well, I don't understand why. And I do understand. Let me go back. I do understand that federally there are some, stipulations, da da da. But having worked in a school and having been a part of, different organizations, take the money from someplace else. Put your money where your mouth is. Also, I think there's something to be said about, and you guys talked a little bit about it, but like bartering, having the conversation and then saying, okay, so we can't, you know, we haven't written you into the line. We haven't written a line item into the budget this year, but maybe for next year. Or we don't have the money, but let's talk about a gift card or da 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 da. I will say for MPCLT, although we've been compensating this team for a long time, um, when we were at our worst financially, we have been through some ups and downs, baby. And because I did mention that for a long time we didn't have a budget. And this team we talked, we had the conversation. They were in it for the long haul, and we're still together today. And I'm so grateful because, some of those times were scary. We still here, we still together. And then Um, and then let's talk a little bit about um, what advice would you give to family support professionals who want to strengthen the parent leadership in their organizations? This is some advice to the field. What advice would you give to family support professionals?
Again, have your parents a part of the conversation, bring them to the table in the beginning. We are thinking about implementing some new programs. I need voices in the room. What do you want to see? What matters to you, right? What do you think will work for your community?
Thank you, Money. Jesse, Pam.
Well, I mean, again, Amani has, said it so gracefully. Just having the parent from the beginning, part of the conversation,
Mhm.
getting their value, their input, and making sure they understand that they are appreciated and valued. I think that from the beginning would make any program be a success because parents are the best network when it comes to building a program. If I enjoyed myself so well that I felt valued and I wanted to go back, I'm bringing somebody with me because my neighbor or my friends that I know going through some same things, I know they're gonna need this program. I know they would benefit from this program. and I felt valued, so I know they're gonna feel valued. I'm going to get more people. And
Mm,
so making sure, putting parents out there in that position, they're gonna make your program a success from the beginning.
yeah. Thank
Yes,
you.
I would think as far as, and be about empowering, look at us as a partner, not just a parent. Because I mean, even though the professionals have these, titles and things, but behind, end of the day, they probably are parents as well. So look at it as a partnership. We are in this together. We want the best for our kids as well. So empowering us, partnering with us, just valuing our lived experience. That's the thing. We may not have those credentials or whatever that you may have, but don't downplay it. We are valuable as well. Our voices matter. So yeah, we're partners in this. We want both. We want our kids to succeed. I want my child to succeed, and you as an educator or professional in that building, you should want the same thing. So let's partner and make it happen.
Pam made a great example. I had an English as a second language class that I was running at my school,
Mhm.
and I had a parent who was a teacher, but she wasn't teaching at the time, but she was bilingual. And she
Mhm.
volunteered to run that class for me. And that that opened up the door. I had a lot of participants because she was doing it. And, she was a parent there at the school because her kid was at the school, but she was also a teacher. But she was willing to partnership with me to run that English second language class. And it
Mhm.
worked. It was a success because of that. So Pam was absolutely right. Look for the partnerships in the parent. They're professionals too. They have skills, they have knowledge that
Yes.
they were willing to share.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And I think um, um, going back and touching a little bit on what Amani said too is I've always felt I'm big on when you include parents from the beginning and not as an afterthought to your programming, because my experience has been when parents are included and in shaping something, then they take ownership of it. And then we go out and we tell everybody, look what I did. I helped to do this. I helped do that. Now I'm bringing my family because look, I need you to see the girl been out here putting in his work. But when it's an afterthought, when I'm included as an afterthought, I'm less likely to say, I don't know what that is, girl. I ain't going. Nobody asked me. I don't need another stress management workshop. I'm done with that. Right. So there's something about taking that ownership. And I think you guys spoke so well too. Thank you. You like captured everything. And
And I'd like
then,
to add, I'm sorry, I'd like
uh-huh.
to
No,
add
go
to
ahead.
one caveat to including the parents in the beginning is you're also helping the parents with their skill building for their resume,
Yes.
right? So you're pointing,
Yes.
out to the parents, you have experience in organizational development. That's something that
Mhm.
some parents may not ever think that they would see on a resume. But if you bring them in at the beginning, you're helping to build their confidence and helping to build their resume so they can take again those real life experiences and translate them into usable skills in the world.
So true. Thank you. Look, that's a good example of that are our parent cafes. When we first started online parent cafes, none of us knew anything about Zoom. Nobody knew Zoom. We were struggling together. And then today, those very same parents create. I just want to give Tammy a shout out. Tammy Cassingay, she's one of the parent leader NPCLT, and this girl went to like making these bomb PowerPoints. I mean, if you need a PowerPoint made, contact Tammy because she kills them every time she eats. Okay, for the young people. And then you got uh Dana who joined us and as our Zoom extraordinaire. Like she will train you on Zoom and get you together. Everything that happens, she knows about it. And she's here today. Hey Dana. She's our tech for today. And then Amani is like our uh Amani is our trainer and she's going across the country and training. But she was part of the NPCLT, we were learning these cafes, man, and learning them online and how to connect with people and crying together and laughing together. And man, and then we have like Pam is our man. If you put Pam in the community, she is going to come back with some stuff. This girl knows how to make connections. Don't sleep on your parent leaders. Don't sleep on your parent leaders. Jesse is now, he is now our, he was, these people were already beasts before they came to us. We grew in some places together, but man, Jesse is now the BSF volunteer coordinator. I ain't using nobody else. Amen for Jesus, because he gonna get us right together. So, okay, we are almost wrapping up, and I just had to take a moment to shout that out because they're the best. Answer this question very quickly, and then we want to open it up for Q&A. Okay. What gives you hope about the future of parent leadership? Thinking about this conversation that we've had today, in our closing, what gives you hope about the future of parent leadership?
I'll kick it off.
Having this conversation today.
Right.
It's engagement like this right here. And looking at the number of people online, it gives me the hope. It's nice and simple.
Thanks,
I agree.
Jesse.
I agree. Just like I said, partnership, building relationships, that's all we want. That's what
Mhm.
I'm hoping for, that you'll consider that as a, not a barrier as far as other things, but, build that relationship. That's the thing. Build a relationship with communication and then, go from there. We are human and we care. So, yeah.
And not to take for granted the humble beginnings. I'm a Head Start baby, so I know Head Start is a great great program that really uses and values their parents, and I've seen countless numbers of parents that started off as parent volunteers and have made their ranks through employment with Head Start. So, just programs like that that really use their parents and take them and catapult them into greatness is what gives me hope.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I have hope. All these conversations just like this give me hope for a brighter parent engagement. I feel like people are becoming more open to and learning more the more we have these conversations and they see parent leaders in action. I think this platform is powerful because sometimes people are just starting to work with parents and in parent engagement. And let me just say this, it ain't for everybody. If you are a person who does not like parents, this ain't for you. This conversation is not for you. Okay. I mean, I don't work with kids. uh, but this conversation may not be for you. But if it is, this is a great way to start thinking about how you're engaging parents. It goes a lot deeper than just headspace and book knowledge. You have to be open to wanting to build relationship with the people you're serving. There can't be a big I and a little you. We're one and the same because when I go home and I take off my professional hat, I'm still a parent and I'm still going to encounter all the things that other parents encounter. So let's be mindful of that. At this point, we're going to take a few minutes and open it up for Q&A. Does anybody have any questions for our team? And thank you. Hey, Jamie, I see you. Any questions for our team? Feel free to ask. They're open. Give you guys a moment. Do we have a chapter in Seattle, Washington? We do not. We do not have a chapter in Seattle, Washington. But go ahead, Amani would love to come to Seattle in the cold weather. Yeah. Jesse too. That's right, Jesse. I'm sorry. Jesse and Amani are now part of our training team as well. And where are the best places to advertise the parent cafes? Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can follow Be Strong Families on there. We'll also share some QR codes in a few minutes to help you do that, to follow us there. And please share. Do you have or plan to create a parent cafe deck for faith-based parenting? Oh, that's good. We have not. However, this is where we are currently with our decks. For those of you guys who do not know, we create decks for hire. So if there's a conversation that that you think we should talk about or have, you can contact me and then we will talk to you about how to get that done. So we do create decks for hire, and then we also co-create because decks cost money. So as a deck for hire, you would pay us and we would create that, or we can co-create it and both join in on the cost of that to do cafes. So, or to create a deck. But the faith-based one, yes. And then, oh, she said me locally. Oh, okay. Advertise locally. We're hosting our first one in March. You associates or else parents. If you have a relationship with your parents, with the parents that you serve, you can contact them, pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, we're having this. I know sometimes if we're with schools and organizations, sometimes we want to do a flyer and stick it in the book bag of the kids. But if parents never check their book bags, then they never get that stuff. But a simple, warm, personal invite goes a long way, a very long way, even more than the text. Pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we're having this. You've been coming to our other stuff. Would you like to come to this? We're having food and childcare. Remove all the barriers, right?" So, yeah. You're welcome, Jamie. Anyone else that we miss? Uh, duh, 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 duh. All right. Thank you.
If I can
Guys,
add to that,
uh-huh. Go ahead.
I would say also, talk to the parent leaders at the local schools. They are a great
Mhm.
source for contact information with the parents. And they can send out information to all of the parents for their school and the
Mhm.
school
Yeah,
districts.
that's true. If you involve them, they will go tell people about your stuff. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm part of the registration table for the cafe. I'm on the welcome team." Even if they didn't help plan, you know, then I'm on the welcome team. I'm donating food. You should come. Work with the parents. They'll get the other parents there. They'll get the other parents there. Uh, okay. Any other questions? Any last minute thoughts, guys, before we close out? I'm talking to the team.
I
Any
think we
last
pretty
minute
much
thoughts?
covered, I think we pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't discount the parental experience.
Yeah, it's valuable. Thank you. Lori, can you put our last minute slides up, our closing slides? We want to make sure that we invite everybody to come to our next the Taste of Cafes. You got to go all the way down to Taste of Cafes. We had this cute thing, but I was decided not to use it. So upcoming Taste of Cafes, any way you slice it, the spring for it, Parent Strong. Use the QR code. Come visit us at the Taste of Cafes. The cafes are led by the parent team, which was created for and by parents. It's a wonderful parent engagement tool. Pop in there, scan the QR code. Next slide. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. If you are looking for more decks, conversations, DIY, visit the Be Strong Families shop where you can find games and gifts and parent engagement resources. Thank you. Use the QR code. Next. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then here's a slide, guys. You were wondering how can we, where can we share or ways that we can share Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and our newsletter. You can scan this information, these QR codes, and follow us everywhere. Okay. Yes, yes, that's right, Darnell. We are Be Strong Families is evidence informed. That's right. So we are open for any grants. Okay. And go to the next slide, Lori. If you enjoyed this, if you have enjoyed these webinars over the years, go back to donation. consider donating. Make a donation. Help us to continue with our parent engagement. Help us to continue with these webinars. We appreciate you guys showing up when we have them. Next month, we're planning for the year, and I look forward to seeing you guys more often. Yay! Oh, it's also available on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, you can go there, grab this link, share it with your networks. So I did see somebody saying, I need to share this with my kids, with my school. Take it. Tell them they need to see this video. And just another shout out to Amani, Jesse, and Pam. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise. I appreciate you so much for being a part of MPCLT and for helping Be Strong Families be as successful as we are. And shout out to Lori and Dana for taking care of our tech today. We appreciate you. Man, it's don't sleep, don't sleep, don't sleep on your team. These people help make you great. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next month. Bye, guys.